Hey, what's up everyone? Mordrick666 here with some Mortal Shell quick tips and review. Mortal Shell is a new game out this week that is 100% Dark Souls 1 worship. It goes way beyond just being Souls-like, to the point where it's nearly the exact same game, save for two new mechanics. 1. You can control your invincibility frames by turning to stone at any time, given a 5-second or so cooldown between uses. 2. Instead of having a completely custom character of your own making, there are 4 shells which you can inhabit, each with their own unique stats. These stats are much more simplified than in Dark Souls, and then out to health, stamina, and resolve, which enables special weapon abilities. I only ever used 2 shells for my first playthrough: Harros, which is the shell you start with, and Eredrim, which has the largest health pool of any of the 4 shells. You can switch shells at the main bonfire lady, Sester Ganessa, or by consuming special items. There are also only 4 weapons to choose from: the starting sword, Sauron's mace, the Frosty Zweihander, and Hammer Time. Each weapon has 2 types of upgrades: the special ability upgrade items, which you can find 2 of for each weapon in each of the game's 4 areas, and 5 damage upgrades which require acid, of which there are only 11 in the first playthrough, so you'll only be able to max out damage for at most 2 weapons. Lastly, instead of souls for currency, this game uses tar. It also has an additional currency called glimpses, which are random drops from enemies, or more typically found through consumable items, similar to humanity in Dark Souls. You'll need both to upgrade your shells and purchase items, but note that your amount of glimpses are relative to each shell and do not carry over when your shell changes, while tar does carry over between them. Tip number 1. Get the item to parry immediately. You will not be able to parry enemy attacks at the start of the game, so the first thing you should do is run straight ahead through the swamp until you reach the wooden door. Head up the stairs until you meet Big Bird, and help him out with one of his chains. You'll be given an item that can allow you to parry, and if you time it right, drain health from enemies when you pull it off. Tip number 2. Focus on acid upgrades. Starting out, you'll do a pathetic amount of damage to enemies, and while you can only fully upgrade 2 of the 4 weapons in a given playthrough, I highly recommend you upgrade the starting sword to +5 as soon as possible. It has one of the fastest attacks of all 4 weapons, and you should be able to find 5 acid upgrades fairly early on, at least between the swamp and the fire level. This will make the remainder of the game trivial, as you'll one-shot most enemies with a +5 weapon. Tip number 3. Find Eredrim's shell. Eredrim will give you the most HP of any shell, and with a +5 weapon, you'll tank through the entire game in a matter of hours. He can be found in the swamps as you approach the Seat of Infinity. He also has a stagger ability that you can unlock, which will stop most heavy enemies in their tracks. Dark Souls fans will understand the importance of poise damage, and the same applies here. Tip number 4. Complete these areas first. While you can do any of the game's 4 areas in any order you want, the simplest approach is the swamps, or Fallgrim, the hub which connects the other 3 areas, the fire level Shrine of Ash, the crypts and ice level Crypt of Martyrs, and the Seat of Infinity. Starting out, use the swamps to farm tar, as the fat vendor, the Shadow King, located above Big Bird, sells 2 acid upgrades at 2,500 apiece. There's also one that can be found in a chest en route to the fire level. Apply the acid upgrades as soon as you get them, and do not go to the fire level until your weapon is at least +3, as it will make that area significantly less difficult. This is really the only time you should farm enemies over and over before progressing, as once you have a +5 weapon, the game is a cakewalk. Note that you should also take out Grisha, the boss in the swamps located directly across from the wooden door prior to heading to the fire world. You'll find the starting sword's first ability upgrade in a chest after defeating him, and it really comes in handy. In the fire level, be sure to loot 2 Iron Maidens, as they'll contain acid upgrades 4 and 5. You'll be able to apply them to your weapon to reach +5 before exiting the level. On that note, when you defeat a boss of a given area, you'll receive a gland, which will make the current area you're in, along with the swamps, much more difficult. Many of the initial enemies will be swapped out with several tougher ones straight out of Resident Evil, and you'll need to run back through the entire level to escape, and all the way back to the swamps to give the gland to Big Bird. Tip number 5. Get 2 important fog items. Once you return to the swamps, do not give the gland to Big Bird right away. There are 2 items you can only get while the swamp is enveloped in fog, which will disappear once you hand over the gland. Instead, cut your way through the poison-spewing enemies to find 1. The second starter sword weapon ability, located at the campsite where the second Grisha spawns. 2. Another acid upgrade in a stone chest right before the Tower of Big Bird. If you follow these 5 tips, you'll be so overpowered by the time you hand over the first gland to Big Bird that you'll be able to tear through the remaining 2 areas with much more enjoyment and ease. Review. If you're a Dark Souls fan, Mortal Shell is a must-have. They say imitation is the highest form of flattery, and that's certainly true in this case. While this is without a doubt total Dark Souls 1 worship, the new mechanics introduced improve upon the formula in ways that are interesting enough to keep the gameplay from getting stale. The graphics are also incredible, and blow Dark Souls 1 Remaster out of the water. The enemy design is also fantastic.
It's a spook show!
Plus, what other game features Rotting Christ in their gameplay trailers? For these reasons, as well as the price tag, only $30. I give Mortal Shell a 9 out of 10. Hopefully these tips help you out if you're stuck, and let me know what you thought of Mortal Shell down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a good one!